Built a massive parlay with 13 odds. Let's break it down. First event, Borussia Dortmund versus Eintracht Frankfurt. And here I found a really interesting angle because a lot of people are looking at this game through the lens of the season ending and think Dortmund don't have much motivation left. But if we dig deeper, Dortmund home games in moments like this are usually extremely aggressive and emotional right from the first minutes. And I want to start with Borussia, because at Signal Iduna Park, this is a completely different team. Yeah, away from home, they've recently started losing concentration and don't look as hungry anymore. But at home, everything is still very serious. This is their last game of the season in front of their fans, in front of the famous yellow wall. And I honestly don't believe Kovac will allow this team to come out to relax. Especially after the slip-up last round, where they missed the chance to secure second place early. And what's especially important for our scenario, Dortmund start home games extremely strong. They opened the scoring in 13 of their 16 Bundesliga home matches. And that's not random, it's simply their style. At home, Dortmund always try to overwhelm opponents with early pressure, while the crowd pushes them forward, and the emotions and tempo are still at their peak. And this is exactly why the bet on the first half goal looks perfect here. Because Dortmund at home never wait around. They immediately switch on the high press, attack through the wings, constantly send crosses into the box, and play quick combinations through Brandt and Bayer. And against the current version of Eintracht, this looks especially dangerous, because Frankfurt are extremely unstable defensively right now. Buddy, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post match analysis every single day and always try to keep my subscribers in profit. And I'm always happy to see fair criticism and your own arguments in the comments because I genuinely read all of that. Guys, here's my Telegram and my stats. I work as transparently and honestly as possible. I even pay taxes as an individual entrepreneur. I am one of the few in this space who actually works openly and fairly. The link is in the description below. Now let's talk about Eintracht, because their situation looks really ugly right now. The team has clearly collapsed near the end of the season. Rumors about conflicts between Riera and the players have been around for a while. And the most important thing is that you can actually see it in the way they play. When everything is fine inside the team, you don't lose almost every game against top 6 opponents and concede this kind of defensive disasters. Eintracht right now don't look like a team capable of surviving the pressure of Signal Iduna Park calmly. They've gone 6 straight matches without a clean sheet, and in 4 of those games, they concede at least 2 goals. And the key thing, against top-level opponents, they simply can't handle the tempo. Yeah, sometimes they can respond with a goal of their own because they still have quality attackers, but structurally, their defense has huge problems right now, especially away from home, where the atmosphere becomes even more intense. And this is another important angle here. Dortmund are very strong in corners at home, because the style of the black and yellows naturally generates corners. They constantly overload the wings, shoot, whip crosses into the box, and force opponents into clearances. And Eintracht away from home under pressure often dropped way too deep and spent entire stretches just defending. So Dortmund corners handicap looks extremely tasty here as well, especially considering that at home Dortmund regularly dominate the corner count by a comfortable margin. And when the match follows their script, opponents barely manage to get out of their own half. So for me the scenario here is very clear. An aggressive start from the home side. Dortmund almost always begin home matches strongly, Eintracht are unstable and emotionally shaken right now. Plus, the atmosphere at Signal Iduna Park in the final home game of the season will definitely push the black and yellows forward from the very first minutes. So my main pick here is first half of 1 goal in the parlay, because a goal before halftime looks like a very realistic scenario. And for the crazy parlay, I'm taking Dortmund corners handicap -1.5 at 2.1 before first halftime, because at home they usually grab control immediately and suffocate opponents through constant wings pressure and non-stop attacks. Event 2, Levante versus Osasuna, and here I found a really interesting angle, because a lot of people are looking at the table and automatically assume Osasuna, as the more stable team, should comfortably grab points here. But if we dig deeper, the current situation actually favors Levante massively. And I want to start with the home side, because for them every single game right now is literally a final. The team is in a position where there is almost no room for mistakes anymore. And these situations often force mid-table or struggling teams to suddenly improve dramatically at home, especially after a coaching change, when emotions inside the squad start walking up again. And since Luis Castro arrived, Levante at home have genuinely transformed. This is not the same team that collapsed helplessly during the first half of the season. At Ciudad de Valencia, they've started playing more aggressively, more bravely, and far more actively in attack. 4 wins in their last 5 home games is no coincidence. It's proof they've found their rhythm, especially at home. And most important, Levante finally started scoring. 10 goals in their last 5 home matches is a very strong number for a team that struggled offensively for most of the year. Now they are genuinely creating chances, attacking through the wings, sending a lot of balls into the box, and most importantly, they are not afraid to take risks. Yeah, defensively they are still far from perfect, and that matters too. But for our scenario, it's actually a plus, because Levante simply don't know how to play pragmatic football right now. They need a win, which means they will open up and attack with numbers again. Now let's move to Osasuna, because this is where another important detail appears. Everybody knows this team can upset favorites at home and grind out results. But away from home, Osasuna are a completely different story. And the stats confirm it brutally. 11 defeats in 17 away matches is already a systematic issue, not bad luck. And the main problem is that away from home they become too passive. They sit deep, give away possession and try to survive. But the issue is that their defense isn't reliable either. And when we spend the entire match pinned near your own box against a motivated opponent, mistakes eventually happen. And against this current version of Levante, that approach may fail again. Because the Frogs at home play with huge emotion, feed off the crowd and start suffocating opponents through pressure. But I still don't think Osasuna leave without scoring. Because Levante's defense remained their biggest weakness. They allow too much, made positional mistakes constantly, and Budimir with this attack know how to punish teams even in difficult matches, especially since Osasuna have at least started scoring more consistently away from home late. So this game really looks like Levante pushing aggressively, while Osasuna find their chance through a counter-attack or a set piece. But for me, the key still lies in the home side's attack. Because in terms of movement, motivation and home form, Levante genuinely look dangerous right now. The team understands they might not get another chance to survive, and at home they are playing with maximum intensity. So my main pick here is Levante team total over 1 in the parlay, because at least 1 goal from the hosts with this motivation and current home form looks extremely solid. And for the crazy parlay, I'm taking Levante to win at 2.6. And there is one more game I broke down as a single, but it can also be added into the parlay. Torino versus Sassuolo, and here I found a really interesting angle, because at first glance it looks like a meaningless end-of-season match where both teams are simply finishing the campaign. But if we dig deeper, games like this between relaxed mid-table teams often become extremely open and entertaining. And I'll start with Torino because their current situation is very revealing. When Diverse first arrived, the team got an emotional boost, started collecting points and quickly moved away from the relegation zone. But as soon as survival in Serie A was secured, old problems immediately started showing again. And the biggest one is the defense. Because this current Torino side looks nothing like the old Zurich version that could suffocate any opponent and kill games defensively. Right now, this is a team that gives opponents way too much space, and you can see it not only in the stats, but in the actual structure of their play. They constantly leave gaps between the lines, fail to cover the wings properly, and look nervous whenever opponents apply pressure. Yeah, up front they still have players like Vlasic or Simeone, who can create moments out of nowhere, but the issue is that Torino almost never looks secure defensively anymore. And that's exactly why their matches have become more often recent, especially at home where they naturally play more aggressively. Now let's move to Sassuolo, because this is where things become really interesting. The Nerazzurri right now are a team that genuinely fear no one. They have already produced several strong performances against quality opponents, and that win over Milan was a huge statement. And the key thing is they fully deserve it. There was no lucky bounce or parked bus. Sassuolo played brave, quick and aggressive football. And offensively, this team is in very good shape right now. Berardi, Pinamonti and Laurenti are a very high-quality attacking group of a mid-table Serie A team. And whenever opponents leave space, Sassuolo immediately start creating chances. And the current Torino side leaves space for basically everybody. Plus, I really like Sassuolo's current form. 7 points from 3 matches shows a team playing with confidence and actually enjoying football. And when there is no pressure for results, while the attack is flowing, games like these often turn into open shootouts. And it's important that neither side really has a reason to sit back cautiously anymore. There is no tournament pressure, both teams can open up and simply play football. And those kinds of matches often bring goals at both ends. Because Torino consistently score at home under D'Aversa, while Sassuolo have failed to score in only 2 of their last 11 matches. But at the same time, the away defense is far from reliable too. They regularly allow chances, especially away from home. So both teams to score feels very reliable here. But I'm not expecting a crazy 5 or 6 goal hockey game either. This is still Serie A, and these are two relatively equal teams where the tempo can drop slightly after a certain point. And that's why under 3.5 goals looks especially interesting here, because the match definitely feels like a game with goals, just without completely chaos. Something like 1-1, 2-1 or 2-0 feels like the most realistic scenario. So my main pick here is under 3.5 total goals in the parlay, because the match feels entertaining but without going completely crazy on the scoreline. And for the crazy parlay, I'm taking 1x plus BTTS yes at 2.4.